This channel is for educational purposes only. Please do your own due diligence before making any investment decisions.
Hi, this is Joe Rabil. Happy 4th of July. I want to give you a stock market update for this week, and we're going to go through the market conditions. One big change that needs to be addressed, see how we handle it, but it's very important what's taken place. And then we're going to look at a couple different charts today, a little bit different look. So let's go ahead and get going with that. Now, if you want to learn some more about some of these techniques, I would suggest starting with the book. You can go into the description area and click the link to find out more about the book. Also, if you do enjoy this content, please hit the like button and also subscribe. All right, we're going to start out with the market conditions, and we're going to start out with the biggest shift of the week, which is the sentiment, massive jump in sentiment using the Investors Intelligence Sentiment Investor Survey. Basically, these are the guys that write the letters. They're investment advisors. So what's happened is we went from 10% more bulls than bears up to 29% more bulls than bears. Now, it was a jump in the bulls. It was a drop in the bears. It all happened in 1 week. And I think it's pretty important because what that tells me, when we get that fast of a jump, that quick of a jump after the move that we've seen here, that it's going to probably provide some headwinds. Now, it doesn't mean it can't carry a little bit higher, all right? But we're getting close to a point where we're getting into a little bit more of a danger zone, a higher risk zone. And now we've got these two both negative, right? So these are more like, these can go counter to the trend. So if we get it overbought and we have too much bullishness, then you should be on the lookout for some kind of a reversal, correction, pullback, something like that. So that's kind of where I think we're getting very close. Maybe we start to see something like that developing next week. Something to be on the lookout for sure. Now, the volatility is the same. I'm going to go over that in a second. In fact, I'll go through the rest of these in a minute. But we're currently showing on the trend, monthly and daily trends are positive. Weekly is neutral. And mostly the weeklies are having a hard time catching up just because of how quick of a reversal it was. When that happens, the 18 is currently below the 40, so I can't really call that positive at this point. But we're at a new high. And obviously, we've made a pretty dynamic move. Now, on a momentum basis, the monthly and the weekly are neutral. Daily is now positive based on the DI movement. I'll go into that in a second. And then on volatility, the daily is still positive. Weekly is negative. And overbought, oversold, we have hit the 80% mark. And in fact, we're at 90% on a short-term basis on the daily chart, right? And we are at 80% on the weekly. So we're overbought. We're getting very bullish across the board. Somewhat of a concern. Now, there are some positives in all of this. And throughout this move, we haven't had high volatility on the daily chart, all right? This keeps shrinking. Now, I would expect if we do get some kind of a choppiness or a pullback, I would expect this to pop a little bit. All right, so we could see an intermittent reversal on the short-term basis, but really this is the key. If we get some kind of pullback that works off this overbought condition on the weekly chart where the RSI 5 comes back down to the neutral and this keeps dropping, then I think that's a really good sign for the market, and it probably plays out more like 2020, all right? And that's what we want to be watching for. So I'm not a big fan of going back through, historically speaking, this is what happened and this is what's going to happen because, they look the same, because every market is different. But I do want to just point this out. Let's go through the timeline. This is my timelines chart. I call that because I've got an 18-week, an 18-month, an 18-quarter, and an 18-year line, all color-coded there. So hold on, let me scrunch this up so you can really see. Here's where they all converged back in 2020, 2011, 2012. We got the convergence and resurgence to the upside where everything crisscrossed back above the yearly, and we started another major bull move, right? We went through a bear market, and then this is really where things all got cooking. And now, if you notice, we've had a couple of pretty big swings off of this move. These lines are getting farther and farther apart. Notice how
the yearly line and the quarterly line are pretty far apart now, right? Look at how they're close together. This is low risk buying, all right? This is not, I don't know that I would say it's a lot lower risk if you're buying closer to the quarterly line, but when you're stretched away, it's a little bit higher risk. Now, it doesn't mean we have to drop. You just recognize kind of where we are in the bigger picture. Now, let's just look at what happened in 2020. We got a sharp pullback, similar to this, although this gave some warning signals it was coming. Sharp pullback, and then straight up. And then it went to a new high. Let me just get rid of this drawing on here so you can really see. So this went to a new high right here, just like we're doing right here. And then if you notice, we went and did a little zigzag sideways right around the breakout area. So I'm sort of thinking, based on what's taken place in the sentiment, we could easily see something like that take place here. We've gotten a little overbought. People are throwing in the towel. Everybody's getting bullish. Good spot for, short-term consolidation, shake some people out. But we got to watch the volatility. If the volatility keeps dropping throughout this type of a pattern, that would be very, very bullish. All right, and we'd want to take advantage. But the good news is when we look at the individual stock patterns, there's just a lot of attractive individual stock patterns that I think set up on a pullback. All right. Let's look at the 4 time frames, and we can look at this monthly chart and see we're making a pretty nice move to the upside. We pull back. We never close below this line, so the slope of this line is still pretty good. And now we've actually gone to a new high. And I'll be the first to admit, I really did not expect this to just go straight up to a new high, especially based on what happened to the MACD and even the red DI making the move that it did. But we're in a world where, it was based on the tariffs and what the tariffs might do, and we dropped and kind of plummeted off that. And then, there was kind of a switcheroo with what was expected, and now we've basically just gone vertical and gone right back up. So I think, sometimes that type of stuff happens, and in a high volatility environment, this is the one indicator that struggles, all right? This indicator has a very hard time catching up. It's just when you get that kind of a drop, and again, we'll go back to 2020, get that kind of a drop and that kind of a V-bottom, it just doesn't catch up fast enough. This is a big drop based on the negative momentum, and then it just reversed. It's the same thing we're dealing with right now. Now, we do get green DI crossing above red, showing the buyers finally have kind of overtaken the sellers, but we need to get that above 25. I would like to see a little bit more of, just a better signal there, but it really should not be keeping you from doing anything. This signal now, we should not be holding back. I mean, MACD, you can see, because it's based on the closes, it catches up a lot quicker, and we've already got the MACD above its signal line and both lines above the 0 line. So, I would definitely consider that positive. The problem is that we're getting a little short-term overbought. Could use a little bit of a pullback or correction. And when I look at this now, I have turned positive on this trend, right? Because we've taken this out. Green DI has broken out. ADX has gone back above 25. The MACD has moved up. We had reverse divergence. We've gotten a breakout off of that pattern. It happened very quickly. It looked like it was breaking down, and then it turned on a dime and turned back up. And hopefully that was recognized when that took place. But now we're at a new high here, and we've got confirmation from that standpoint. Now, here's the issue. Because this took so long to get going, I don't consider this a really good buy signal. Do you see how? So this is the way it should play out. If we're getting a low ADX breakout pattern, then price should be doing this, or, it could be an ascending triangle, or it could be a rectangle, right? It should break out and then this should follow through pretty quickly. But you see what happened is we've just been working up and up and up. This is not a low ADX breakout pattern. Okay, so don't think that we're starting some big, huge move off of this time frame. I don't think that's what's taking place. I think what we could do is set some kind of a climax pattern off of this move, and push up and get a little bit more dynamic and maybe get even more bullish. If we get the bulls to jump again and the bears to drop again, and we get up into that mid 30 area. Right now it's at 29. The real risk increases when we get into the mid 30s or something like that. That's where you definitely want to start pulling back and being a lot more risk averse if we get to that point. And you can just see what kind of move we've made over the last week or two. It's basically just been straight up, hardly a down bar or two on the hourly overall, and we've got good momentum characteristics on that time frame as well. So right now, situation is we're in a bull trend. Momentum signs have shown improvement in the short term, but we're getting overbought. In fact, we are overbought, especially based on an RSI basis on the daily and the weekly, and people are getting too bullish. So need to start watching for signs of climatic activity, and I think we could start to see some type of a consolidation that takes place. And then we'll just have to watch the volatility from that standpoint, and that'll tell us more than anything. All right? Have a great long weekend, and we'll see you next week.